So I just saw the news that President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and I just felt like going out for a walk and sharing some thoughts with you. First, hopefully he has a speedy recovery and good health. They're saying that it is treatable. I think probably he'll be okay, but obviously you don't want to hear any of this kind of stuff. And I also saw many various politicians and leaders, et cetera, expressed concern over Biden's health, and even Trump said something nice. So I was thinking about this, and again, I'm just going out for a walk of, why can't we have civility and effectively just be human to each other, all the time, not just in times of, you find someone gets cancer. I've mentioned this before on the channel. I never met my father. I lost my family at the end of the war, and my dad died of cancer before I had a chance to meet him. I did meet my mom and sister. However, they both passed away from cancer this past year, if you guys don't know. So I take this stuff really seriously, and the first thing that I was thinking about, when I heard the news and kind of just seeing what's all been happening these days is, as just humans, we want to take care of our family, right? We want to go about our lives, and we don't wish any harm on our loved ones or friends. Cancer is quite serious. It's no joke. And also, some of my best times at, say, university, or, just meeting people, when I meet people at work in cancer research or AIDS research or any sort of health profession, I have a lot of respect for people who do that, right? You're out literally curing people's ailments. And for me, that's something I wish we would focus, more on. It's been very, very frustrating. There's a lot of things we talk about on the channel that's frustrating, but for me, it's been very, very frustrating seeing that, right now in the USA, we're making tons of cuts to say the Republicans want to do to Medicare, and Trump wants to cut all the funding to universities. Like, what do you think universities do? That's what they do. They do research to, develop technologies to fight cancer. We've, as you say, we've developed so well that these days, at least, it's treatable. So that's why I was saying, like, when I looked up, I think Biden has prostate cancer. They said it's aggressive form, and that I looked it up, and I guess the survivability rate is actually pretty high. But he is old; he's 82. And these are the just kind of things, just like talking human about this stuff. In my particular family situation, my mom didn't really like doctors or anything, and it had to do, it's a long conversation, but it had to do with the cost of healthcare in USA. It's just too high, and then also sort of education, where just she didn't trust the system, right? And there's some people out there who are like that, and it's very different to say where I'm in now in Korea, which I guys talk to you about all the time. It's just a different culture here. So, for example, free health checkups is just part of the national system, so everybody does it. And one of the things that as you get older in life, you realize that your health's the most important thing. And so I think one of the things that a country should do and can do to support its citizens is just talk about preventative care. The issue with the USA is that lately, the attack on institutions. So again, attacking our research, attacking our universities. Trump people want to cut immigration, and one of the things that, if you put it all together, think about this, is one of the strengths, and hopefully the remain to be strong of the U.S. is our international universities that attract the top talent from around the world, and you never know who's going to develop that cure for cancer, who's going to develop the latest treatment. You don't know where these people can come from. They can come from anywhere on the planet. And the idea would be, if you can get the best people all to come together, and oftentimes it is in the USA because they have great research at our fantastic universities, put all the great minds together, they can figure out cures. That's the idea, and have an open discussion and dialogue of that stuff. It's a very different world than what we often see on TV, where people are fighting, they're promoting particular types of views, so they don't have necessarily an interest in telling you guys the truth. And I try so hard on the channel just to give you guys a human perspective on this stuff. So I hopefully Biden will be okay, but I want to put it in a larger context of our health care system as a whole. The other thing I think is important too is whenever you experiencing some sort of stress or difficulties or challenges in your life, go out for a walk. That's what I'm doing right now. Sometimes I feel like because I know the news or the stuff you hear from people saying, it just feels like everyone's so negative all the time, and it's like a time when people are fighting each other, etc. But again, like in this particular period, we just found out that President Biden was diagnosed with cancer. Like even Trump is saying nice things. But why can't we be like this all the time? That's the question I pose to you, and I think we can. And if we come from the perspective knowing that regular people just want to take care of their friends and their family members, and then how can we build a system based on that, based on taking care of people, right? Not based on tearing each other down. I think that's sort of where we should go. And people often ask me my perspective on various politics or whatever, stuff like that, and I always come from that very what I think is important and a very simple perspective is like, let's just develop policies that help everybody, not just a few people, right? And also let's understand and talk about what the real problems are, and actually listen to people, not tell people what your problems are. And I think oftentimes, unfortunately, this is how it is right now in the current Trumpy world. You have all these people who are just really disconnected from the reality of regular people's lives, where Trump refers to groceries as being an old term, which is pretty ridiculous. Like, it means he's like never even goes to the grocery store, never shopped in his life, probably never really drove, right? Always had a driver, always had maids clean his house, these kind of things. But if you've heard of Trump, he does know what cancer is, right? So like I said, he said a nice thing to Biden, and I'm sure everyone out there has been affected by these things, and so that's why I said, like, for me, if I were involved in leadership and politics and stuff like that, I'd be saying, hey, that is, let's make that a priority. Medical research. Think of all of the advancements and all of the things that we could do to better life for all humans, right? Clean water. How could we figure out ways and technology to develop, clean water? And think of all the opportunities, if you want to talk about business and money, think of all the opportunities that would be out there for you as companies to do that. But, if it's sort of what the problem right now is, I just give you two examples, medical research and clean water. But the problem right now is, like, the American system is based on, now we're just going to talk about financial markets and why even bother invest in real technology. Let's just have digital coins. That's seriously what people are pushing these days, and crypto stuff. And so let's just push that stuff that doesn't actually really help anyone. All it does is eat up a bunch of energy, and it benefits the people who bought in first, right? So if you invented whatever doggy coin or whatever, and if you guys understand my frustration with this stuff, it's the over concentration on things, in my opinion, are complete Ponzi's and pyramids, when we should be focusing our efforts on how can we bring society together, how can we make it so that you and your family can have better lives. I think at the end of the day, that's what people generally want, right? You want to have good health. You want to have good, good relationships. You want to be able to know that if a family member of yours gets sick, you have somewhere to go. It's not going to be too expensive. You're not going to be saddled with medical debt the rest of your life. Actually, medical debt is no joke. That stuff is a real problem in USA. And we're not even talking about how can we make healthcare more affordable these days. It's like literally we're just talking about AI and Musk wants to fire all these people to get rid of any sort of regulators, these kind of things. Like it's just all these things that are really to hurt the regular people. And so I don't know, I just had to get some stuff off my chest. And this stems back to when I first heard the news on Biden. I'm happy that we have the technology to where I think he's probably going to be okay, but you don't know on this stuff. No one knows. So you just wish him and his family well. And I hope we have a system also where everyone can have the best care available so that we can deal with these things. And I also want to live in a world where we just treat each other like human beings, like we are right now. Like I said, everywhere I've looked, people have sent their you know, nice messages to Biden, which I think is the appropriate thing to do, regardless of, you know, any sort of political beliefs on that stuff. So do appreciate your time, everyone. Just want to share that. And I'll catch you on the next video.